Hello and welcome back to 100 Yards of Football, Sports Talk Radio. I'm your producer, Jeremiah Long, and joining me to talk about our NCAA coverage of the Arkansas Razorbacks versus the Auburn Tigers, it's our host, Mr. Logan Landers. How's it going, man?
What's up, Jeremiah? Talking some SEC football here today on the show. Got a great matchup here between two teams in the SEC, just scratching, clawing their way, trying to still maintain that relevancy, that look in the SEC. Auburn, Arkansas, this upcoming Saturday is going to be a great matchup at noon.
Absolutely. Well, for everybody watching our show live or listening to our podcast, we just want to say thank you. Week after week and day after day, you join us to get the best coverage in football across the NCAA and the NFL, even touching on what's coming out of the high schools. So we are just want to say thank you because you joining us every week is why we're able to bring you all of our great coverage. Well, Mr. Logan Landers, tell us, Arkansas Razorbacks versus the Auburn Tigers. What do we have to look forward to out of this game?
Well, right now we're looking at a battle of the unranked teams. Arkansas had a really good year last year. People were expecting better of them, but they have just kind of struggled this year against high-ranked teams and just ranked teams in general. They've lost 3 of their last 4. They lost to Texas A&M in a close ball game. They got beat up by Alabama like most teams do, and then they got a tough loss to Mississippi State. But this past week, got a good win, a dominant win, 52-35 over the BYU Cougars. In that ball game, KJ Jefferson, 29 of 40 passing, 367 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, no complaints there, had a phenomenal day. Also, in the running game, Raheem Sanders led the way, 15 carries for 175 yards and 2 touchdowns. Behind him was A.J. Green, 11 carries for 51. They were just run the ball over the place, 277 total yards there. Main receiver, like a lot of guys got some passes thrown to them, but Matt Landers, the guy who led it, 8 catches for 99 and 3 touchdowns on the day with Trey Knox behind him, 4 catches for 66 and a touchdown. The defense did an okay job, right? 35 points isn't ideal, but a win is a win nonetheless. Hudson Clark led the way, 11 tackles on the day for him. No sacks from this Razorbacks team, but they did have 3 tackles for loss, 1 pass defended, and also Mr. Hudson Clark got himself an interception on the day. So a much-needed win for this Arkansas program. Let's talk about Auburn. Not the same fate, unfortunately. They had just had a rough go at it, Jeremiah. Lost 3 straight games. They lost against LSU, we all know, 21-17. They lost against Georgia, 42-10. And now this past week, a game in which they probably could have won, but they lost against the Ole Miss Rebels, 48-34. High-scoring ball game. And, man, they, like I said, in the second and third quarters, they came alive. They scored 17 in the second, 14 in the third. But they just fell apart in the first and fourth quarters. They just could not get many points, if any, on the board. So a rough day for the Tigers, dropping them to 3-4 on the season, below 500. Looking at that game, Robbie Ashford, QB, 18-17 passing, 140, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Got to do a little bit better than that if you want to get the W against the Hogs this week. Running game was very impressive, though. Tank Bigsby ran like a tank, 20 carries, 179, 2 touchdowns, a 9-yard per rush. So looking really good there. And also Jarquez Hunter behind him, 10 carries for 80 yards to help out. Like I said, 48 carries, 300-plus yards as a team. I'll take that any day. It's rare you don't get a win when you're running the ball that dominant. As for the receiving core, like I said, not too much to speak of. Main man was Coy Moore, 1 grab for 46. 2 fumbles as a team. They lost 1, and that was off TJ Finley. So, like I said, just got to be a little bit better there. The defense, I mean, it was a defense. They gave up 48 points. Main guy tackling is a nice number, but not something you want to see. Owen Popo, 16 tackles. It might look good, but when they gave up 48 points, not too great. He had 16. Donovan Kaufman had 11. Derek Hall had 10. And also Wesley Steiner had 10. 1 sack in the ball game. Credit that one to Zion Puckett. 3 tackles for loss, 2 pass defended, and Keontae Scott got himself a nice interception. Like I said, Ole Miss was just looking really dominant. I mentioned the running game, right? Auburn ran the ball for 300 yards. Jeremiah, for the love of God, Ole Miss ran the ball for 448 yards. I mean, I don't even know what to say. That's I don't even know if I can put that up in a Madden game, but just insane stats there. Auburn just couldn't get it going. They led the time possession, but man, with the way that Ole Miss was running the ball, it was just a tough loss. So looking at this ball game, we're looking at two teams who, they give up a good bit of points. They can also score a few good points if they need to. But overall, man, I just feel a little bit more confident in the Arkansas Razorbacks at the moment. Auburn, man, I don't know what's going on with them. I thought they'd be a little bit better in the season. It's just not going the way it is. So give me the Hogs in this one. Call the Hogs, like our guy Vince Turner says. Give me Arkansas in this ball game. I'm going to do Arkansas 37 and Auburn 24. I just see Arkansas run away with this one, man. I think KJ Jefferson is a tremendous quarterback. I think the defense is going to come to play a little bit better. And as for Auburn, just hopefully you can get that running game established, the passing game not too hot. And, man, I just think whichever defense looks the strongest this ball game is going to get the win of this one. And that's why I got to put my trust in the Razorbacks this upcoming Saturday.
Hey, you cannot go wrong. I definitely want to see it as well. We broadcast here live from Atlanta. So, we're in the heart of this SEC territory. So we want to see, amazing teams do amazing things. When it comes to Auburn and it comes to Arkansas, we want to hear from you, all the fandom. So if you are an Arkansas fan, please put in the comments, do you believe that Arkansas is going to run away with this one? If you are an Auburn fan, tell us why Auburn's going to win. So put that in the comments over on YouTube. We read all of the comments that come through. Put your comments over on Facebook. Share your items over to the other social networks that you love and tell everybody what you think will happen in this game. And thank you to all of our subscribers that have hit the notification bell. It's one of the reasons that we bring these shows every single week is because we love to hear our feedback. And if you're listening to our podcast, thank you. But if you're not listening to our podcast, come and join us. You can listen like I do over on Spotify, but you can also listen where a lot of our listeners join us over on Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Google Podcast, Stitcher, Overcast, so many more podcast platforms. So anywhere that you love to listen to streaming radio, you can join us every single week. Just look up 100 Yards of Football. You'll see our football on the 50-yard line there, and you can get all of our amazing programming week after week. So thank you so much to Mr. Logan Landers for that insightful insight into the Arkansas Razorbacks versus the Auburn Tigers. I'm your producer, Jeremiah Long, and we'll be back with another live episode. Stay tuned.